Let's start with the Brock Purdy interceptions. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. So the first one was a deep in breaker to Juwan. If you look back on film, he threw that one late as he threw it late and he threw it inaccurately. A rough ball, frankly, not one that we're used to seeing Brock throw. It was just inaccurate. He missed him. He was just behind his. He was just right behind him. I don't understand necessarily what went wrong there. If Juwan had a step on him, and granted, it's JC Horn, so maybe I would love to see Brock be like, okay, it's JC Horn. Let's not try and fit in a tight window ball. But it's just behind Juwan and ends up being a pick. That one was not great. Second one, by far, in my opinion, his worst throw of the day. 3rd and 6, absolutely massive play in the game. He steps up, tries to climb the pocket, and he absolutely has it. If he just takes off and runs, he has a first down. Not only that, if he wants to pull it down and check it down to George Kittle, he also has a first down. Probably more. I'd say George Kittle, with his ability after the catch, probably ends up with a touchdown himself. But instead, he goes deep to Ricky, who admittedly is open, who has about a step on his guy, and he just misses him. He sees it late, and he throws it behind him, really behind. And it turns what should be a pretty easy touchdown to Ricky if he can just lead it out in front right there. Bang. Love to see it. Instead, it's a rough throw. It's the one play, the two places it couldn't be was behind him and underthrown. That's exactly what it was. So it allows the Panthers DB to catch up and get an interception. And the third one, I'm just going to give a ton of credit to JC Horn. He was the backside corner on that play on the left side. He realizes that he has no assignment. He's basically a free man. And he charges all the way to the right side of the field, sees Ricky Pearsall starting to cross, and makes a phenomenal play. JC Horn is just that type of guy who's going to make a bunch of plays like that over the course of the season. And he had an amazing game before he went out with a concussion. So 2 brutal misfires by Brock, and 1 just not great play by JC Horn. Reason why I felt like I had to go through him step by step is because I came on here last week when the Niners beat the Cardinals and Brock came back and we put up 41 points. And I gave him a ton of love. I gave him his flowers. So it only feels right for me to address it when he plays poorly, because I can't just, be like, oh, look at all the great stuff he does, and not actually address it when he messes up, because frankly, this was not his greatest game. I like him rebounding, though, with a nice rebound, like a really nice rip to Kittle in the open zone. Carolina gave him that spot, so that was a really nice read by him. But for the second half, you could tell either Shanahan was shaken by it, either Purdy was shaken, because they did not try to go deep at all. Frankly, it was just a lot of simple checkdowns, just slowly move that ball down the field. And credit to Brock and that offense, because they did end up getting one more touchdown and another field goal, which was all they would need to win this one. A very uncharacteristic game by Brock. Usually you don't see him, for one, make inaccurate throws. Whenever Brock has an interception, it's because he either read some zone defender wrong, because so much of what Brock does is big anticipation and big accuracy. That's what that's what he has, because he doesn't have the strongest arm. He can't really rip it like a lot of the other quarterbacks in the league can. He doesn't have, of course, he's not Josh Allen, he's not Lamar Jackson, he's not Patrick Mahomes. So the way he makes up for it is with perfect accuracy and insane anticipation. And again, I'm just going to ignore that 3rd interception, because that was just an amazing play by JC Horn. I don't know what else there is to say. But for the first 2, not only was he late, but he was so inaccurate, which is just so uncharacteristic of Brock. So uncharacteristic, in fact, and this might get me a lot of hate, that I'm willing to just say, I'm willing to chalk it up to a bad game. So, and don't get me wrong, I understand. There's a lot of people that text me and that DM me whenever Brock has a bad game, because I'm so ardent on this stance. If that was Brock just is misreading defenders, if there is something wrong clearly with the toe, like in the Jacksonville game where he had 2 interceptions in that one, you could tell he just wasn't stepping in and throwing the ball well. So the ball floated, and it was okay, yeah, very clearly something's wrong. He's injured and he needs to be out of the game. And yeah, he went on to miss 2.5 months. I'm willing to just say, it's a rough game out of Brock, clearly shaking off a little bit of rust. But these are all fixable issues. If he just issues that he has not had, it's something where it will be better over the course of the year. It's not time to put in Mac Jones or anything crazy like that. It's not, time to insanely overreact. If he has another bad game against Cleveland where he's just missing guys, then yeah, I think it'd be time to have a little bit of a conversation. But until he puts up consistently bad performances, I'm not willing to throw away 30 to 35 consistently good performances. And I know when Brock struggles, this is going to be a larger critique of the media. When Brock struggles, everyone is so quick to point out and be like, "Oh, look, I was right. I was right. He's a system guy, quarterback, yada yada yada." Um, but they just ignore the consistently 10 to 15 great games he puts in a year. So, like for example, his MVP year where he was the front runner for MVP 16 weeks through the year. Um, you know, the offense is looking phenomenal all year. And then you played Baltimore on Christmas Day, and Brock gets crucified by the media in that game. And he didn't have a great game at all. He threw 4 interceptions. It was rough. But the amount of people that were jumping to be like, "Oh, look, I was right all along. I was right. He's a system quarterback. He's this. He's this. He's this," um, is insane to me. And it's the same stuff that's happening again with this one, which is weird to me because the team had still won. It's weird to see him just get absolutely crushed in the media for one bad performance. I don't know. Uh, we see so many other quarterbacks, frankly, have bad games, and we're willing to chalk it up to bad games because they are uncharacteristic of how they have played throughout the entire year. But we don't give that same grace to Brock Purdy. It's really frustrating to me. I think it's one of those things where if you're a late draft pick, you just have to prove yourself over and over and over and over again and be willing to get dunked on by the media. So that's exactly what he's going to do. If even though the Niners struggle in Cleveland after this rough performance against Carolina, I think he bounces back.